So the first thing we want to do is the gravy. The gravy probably takes, in total of cooking time, about an hour. So we're going to put it on. That's the first job of the day. So you want to take a large bowl, and we are going to then add all our ingredients one at a time. So the first ingredient is going to be your chicken wings. So this is quite an extravagant gravy recipe, but it really makes a massive difference doing this with chicken wings. Just the flavor is really, really good. And this gravy actually forms a delicious base of a casserole. You can make chicken pie if you add some cream. So basically chicken wings go in 1 kilogram of chicken wings. You're then going to add some bacon that's been roughly chopped up. So everything here is just really roughly chopped up. You're not going to see ultimately all of this ingredients. You're going to extract the flavor, and ultimately it's going to end up in the bin. So it doesn't need to be pretty by any stretch of the imagination. Next ingredient is going to be your chopped carrots. These don't need to be peeled, so just once again roughly chopped. And then I've got some celery. If anyone needs me to take a pause, you just let Jane know and I'll slow down. So that's the carrot, celery in. Then you want your onions in, which are peeled, once again roughly chopped. In they go. And then some sage. Now, would you believe Tesco, the large Tesco in Amersham, was out of fresh sage, but you literally want to just take about 4 or 5 leaves, rip them in half and whack them in. I'm going to use dried sage, which is a good alternative. I mean, dried herbs are very forgiving when it comes to hard herbs. So things like rosemary, bay leaf, sage, thyme, all those things in dry form are perfectly fine. Then the next ingredient is rosemary. Rosemary is delicious. I'm going to put them in just like that. I've got some thyme, so I'll pop some of that in as well. And then some garlic. So I don't actually have garlic on the recipe. I've just noticed now. It's not essential, but I'm going to pop it in anyway because I think garlic makes everything taste delicious. So you want to just really smash the bulbs and just break them like that, and in they go. These are quite large, so I'm going to put 2 in. And then we're going to just put a little bit of olive oil in that. Just a little bit. I guess if you wanted to say 5 tablespoons, so that everything is well coated. And then I'm going to put a touch of seasoning in. So just some salt. You know how much I love my salt. It's half a teaspoon of salt. And then really what you want to do is give that a good mix up. So this is actually the basis of a lot of French classical cookery. This is what you call your mirepoix. Your onions and carrots and celery, sometimes leeks as well. We're not going to pop leeks because they're much thinner, they tend to burn quite easily in this. So the idea is we're going to put these now straight onto a roasting tray. So that's quite a lot of ingredients. I would get them to quite a large roasting tray, and what you don't want to do is pile them too high on top of each other. You want them kind of spread out so they roast evenly and everything gets nicely charred. And the idea behind this is, I'm going to grab that. That's our stuffing going off there. Here's one I made earlier, but we'll see a bit later on. So, and so also just to mention why we're making this. This is really, really delicious. Made in advance or eaten on the day. But once you've made this, you can then freeze it down, take it off for Christmas Day. It's delicious. You can make double quantity if you want as well. Use it for different meals, but it'll elevate your gravy to the next level. So just like that, and that gets popped in the oven. So I'm going to put this in at 190 if it's fan assisted. If it's not fan assisted, whack it up a little bit higher, maybe 210. I'm going to pop this straight into the oven. And there we go. So that'll be in there for 20 minutes. But what you're really looking for is a nice golden color on those veg. Once that's roasted, the next step we're going to do is pop that in a pot, and we're going to basically make a stock from that. But a bit more about that a bit later on. Our next job is going to be the stuffing. So with the stuffing, super classical ingredients for Christmas: sage, onion. What you want to do, you should all have your onions pre-chopped. They don't have to be too fine. I mean, I quite like quite a chunky stuffing. So I've chopped them up sort of, I'd say, medium size. You then want to I've got an induction hob here. I'm going to pop that on. And then some olive oil. And what we're going to do, we're going to fry these just to take off that. So you basically want them translucent. So you're probably going to fry these for about 4 or 5 minutes. So with the stuffing, I'll just talk you through. Can you see me in the picture? Is a question?
Yep. No, I'm just checking. Everybody, can you hear Ian all right? Can you give me a thumbs up? Yeah, and he's not going too fast, is he? No, we're all right, Ian. Lovely. Carry on.
Okay, so the onions are now on. And you really want to just cook these till they're nicely cooked. They don't have to be browned, but just to take off that sort of raw edge. And then just a little bit about the sausage meat. So the sausage meat is basically Cumberland sausages, and you're just squeezing out the sausage meat. Laurie, can you grab the sausage meat, please? And you want to squeeze the sausage meat out. I think you can, from Tesco, buy them in tubes close to Christmas. You don't have to do that, but basically it's just the sausage meat you want. If you want a slightly meatier stuffing, you can substitute pork mince for half of the sausage meat. It's 1 kilo of sausage meat. So just so we don't confuse ourselves, the idea behind this is we're going to make a stuffing roll. Why I've put two lots is that we're also going to use the sausage meat to stuff a chicken. If you're going to be using turkey, obviously you'll have to increase the amount of stuffing. And to be fair, I mean, you can ask yourself how long is a piece of string. You could probably do I would say for a small sized turkey, which is probably 2 or 3 times the size of a regular chicken, you could probably get away with doubling this recipe. But I'm going to talk you through the stuffing of the chicken a bit later on. What we really want to do is we want to put the stuffing under the skin of the chicken today, but for your turkey. And what that does is that's a beautiful sort of a moistener, if you like, of the turkey meat. As the sausage meat cooks, the fats bleed into the skin and into the flesh, and makes a really juicy, succulent turkey and stops your turkey from drying out. It also makes it that much bigger as well. So if you're doing a chicken that would probably feed 4 people, once it's stuffed, it'd probably do about 6 people. And when you're doing turkey, I mean, obviously, turkey probably, I don't know, 8, 9 people, depending on the size. So just giving my onions a good stir. And we want to keep those going for a few minutes. Has anyone got any questions at this stage? Any questions? No questions? One of the ingredients, this probably took me the best part of 15 minutes to find in Tesco, was the chestnuts. If you live in Amersham and you go to Tesco, you'll find them next to the spices, opposite the spices shelf. But I looked in the baking section, looked in the world food section. These are really, really delicious in stuffing. They've kind of got a sort of almost, I think, like, for me, like a sweet potato type taste, a lovely texture as well. So with these chestnuts, I like to keep them quite large for the stuffing. If you're going to put them into the chicken, then you're going to have to chop them slightly finer. Are you able to find out if anyone's going to stuff their chicken tonight? If there's a show of hands, can you see?
Who's stuffing their chicken tonight then? 1. Hands, anybody?
Have you got people stuffing chicken?
There's some people, but quite a few people are just watching and writing down avidly.
Right, okay.
Probably about 3,
I'm going to do
4.
both anyway. I will do both options anyway. So we're frying our onions. And it'll take a few more minutes. So what we're going to do with that, as soon as the onions are cooked, we're going to whack them in the fridge just to chill them down quickly so we can mix them through our stuffing. And also to mention, with the stuffing mix, you can also roll these into little balls, make stuffing balls, pan fry them, and you can freeze them in balls, you can freeze them as a clump, whatever takes your fancy. Or, as I said, we're making a stuffing roll today. So what I would advise, if you're going to keep this for Christmas time, is definitely to freeze it raw and then defrost it the night before, and then cook it slowly the next day for Christmas Day. So look, these onions are pretty much there. I've got nothing in these, no salt or pepper or anything. They're going to go straight into a plate, and all this is going to do is help them to cool down that much faster. So just pat them out like that, and you can pop them into the fridge or the freezer. Excellent. So while those are cooling down, probably take about 5 minutes. We're going to start with the cranberry sauce. There we go. Right, so cranberry sauce, as I said, you can use fresh or frozen cranberries. I think once you've cooked the cranberries out, I'm not sure you can tell the difference. I do like the frozen cranberries because you can have them, they're always going to be in your freezer. You don't really want to go to the supermarket and find that they're out of stock. So frozen cranberries are absolutely fine. And also with frozen cranberries, they do release a little bit more moisture than the fresh ones. So you need to take that into account when you're wanting to work out how sort of runny or how thick you like your cranberry sauce. So this couldn't be easier. Cranberries in the pot like that. And then we're going to flavor it up. So we're going to add either cinnamon powder or cinnamon sticks. I think I said it for the half a teaspoon of cinnamon powder. I'm going to add just a couple of sticks. If you do put sticks in, you can put them in a little muslin bag, which you can take out later. I quite like them in the cranberries to give it more flavor. Just remember to pick them out. And then a couple of cloves. I'm going to put 4 cloves. And then for flavor is the zest of 1 orange. So we're going to put the zest, and then the only liquid that's going to go in here is going to be the liquid from the oranges, from the orange we're using. So I think I have picked this up. This is a microplane, really good for zesting lemons and oranges, good for parmesan, good for grating garlic. Our cranberry sauce we're making today has got Bramley apple in it. Laurie was just telling me she makes one with pear. That would also work out very well as well. So zest in, and you don't want any pips in there, and then your juice in as well. Whoops, oopsie. There we go. That's one, and then this is a large orange. In that goes. Right, and then the apples. So the apples, once again, they don't need to be cut. They don't need to be cut very neatly. They'll basically break down. You will see them in the sauce, but they'll break down quite a bit. But you basically got pieces like that. So similar size to the cranberries, and in they go. So you give that a good mix. Oh, one final ingredient, very important, is our sugar. Sugar's in here. So there we go. Right, and with the sugar, I've put 120 grams. I think with the apple, that's probably right. If you want it slightly tarted, add slightly less. So I'm just going to do that by eye. I think it's about 120. And if you like it sweet, you just add a bit more sugar. The beauty of that is you can obviously add a bit more at a later stage. Right, that's it. So I'm going to give that a quick stir. Now the most important thing with this is to cook it really, really slowly. It shouldn't take you that long. But just get them on the heat. You can use a slightly wider pan. This is quite a small one. But you basically want to put that on the stove. Now really what you want to do is just get that up to the temperature, and those little cranberries will start to pop. It'll release their juice, and you want to get that ticking over on the stove. So that's going to go onto the induction hob. And I'm going to put that on sort of a medium heat just to really get the ingredients warmed. And then once that starts cooking, put it right down just so it's a very, very light simmer. Excellent. So our next job now is going to be the stuffing.
Right, so does anybody have any
keeping
questions?
pace? Are we all, I'm not rushing too much.
I think no. Let's just have a little looky. No, everybody seems to be. Oh yes, James. Do you have a? Oh, hold on a second. I think James has a question. Let me just see if I can unmute you, James. Oh, what about the ginger?
Very good. Very good.
Very good, James. James,
Who
you're
was
going
that?
to the top of the class.
Top of the class.
Yes,
I forgot the
you are.
ginger. Ginger's a key ingredient. That's my bad. In fact, there was a test. I knew that all the time, right? I knew that all along. That was the test. Ginger's very important. So, fresh ginger, I think, with regards to fresh and powdered, I think fresh is definitely better. Well, remember, James, I'm going to quickly pop that on. That gives it a nice zing. So yeah, look, it needs to be obviously finely chopped or grated. And that's a heaped teaspoon. It's going to be nice and punchy. It does mellow out. The nice thing about this cranberry sauce making in advance that it does mellow out in flavor, and so the flavors mingle better after about a day or two. So I think in the fridge this probably can last quite a long time, maybe a week. I mean, probably longer to sterilize jar, to be fair. But I would just pop that into your freezer if you want to have it for Christmas. I wouldn't give it as long. So back on the stove, we can carry on cooking. There we go. Excellent. Right. Now we go on to the stuffing. So, as I said, those onions are getting nicely cooled down now. What we're going to do is start adding our ingredients. So the sausage meat, 1 kilo of this is quite a lot of stuffing, but this is a double recipe, and this is going to be for a sausage stuffing roll as well as under the skin of the chicken. So into that we're going to add some breadcrumbs. So I think fresh is always better. And the rule of thumb normally with breadcrumbs is you normally add 10% of the weight of your sausages. And the reason for adding breadcrumbs is that it absorbs the fat, you have less leakage of the fat, and it keeps the stuffing together. So that's going to go in. It's about 100 grams. And then just for a bit of festive cheer, we're adding some lemon. So the zest of 1 lemon for this, and this comes through beautifully when it's cooking. Give the cranberry sauces to him, please. Got Laurie helping me this evening, which is always good. Right, lemon in, and then sage. So once again, obviously I'm using dried sage. I'm probably going to put a teaspoon of dried sage in here, but the fresh sage would, I think, for this probably be better. So depending on the size of your sage leaves, if they're really big, you probably want to put 2 in, thinly sliced. In they go. If they're slightly smaller, you probably use 4, 5, or even 6 sage leaves. But sage is quite a strong herb. You need to be quite careful that you don't put too much in. But I'd say 6 small, or 2 if they're really large and thick leaves. So that goes in. Then a little bit of black pepper. I'm putting half a teaspoon just to give it a bit of a spice. You don't want to make it hot. That's going to go in. And then, let me see, I don't forget anything this time. So the last ingredient is going to be my chestnuts. So it's going to be my chopping board so you can see what I'm doing. The chestnuts, I'm doubling the recipe, so I've got 180 grams here. And for the stuffing roll, I would literally cut these into 3 pieces, just like that. So they're that sort of size. Is that good? But if you maybe want to pan down over here, you just chop them up like that. They're quite pricey actually. I guess you could really do these yourself. You could roast them. It's a nice job for the kids to do, to peel them. But yeah, I mean, I think chestnuts are delicious, and we don't really have them that often during the year. So I think Christmas we can splash out. Right, now, because the sausage meat has already got seasoning in it, I'm actually, would you believe, for the first time in history, not going to add salt to that. I'm going to leave them exactly as they are.
Sorry, Ian, what was that? You're not going to add salt.
I'm not going to add salt,
oh
I know.
My goodness.
Would you believe? First
Ian
time
loves
in history.
his salt.
Only happens once a year at Christmas. So, I am now, because I'm going to stuff the chicken, we're going to get confused now. Because I'm stuffing the chicken, I'm going to chop these chestnuts down. You still want a bit of a bite to them. Can you check the cranberry sauce, please? Just give this a quick stir.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to cut them slightly smaller. You still want to be able to taste them. You don't want them too fine. So kind of that's what they're going to look like. And they're going to go into the stuffing mix. There we go. Right. Now, let me grab my onions. So the onions won't be necessarily be chilled now. They'll probably be, I'd say, warm. You obviously want to be careful with cooking with meats and temperature. But these are fine now. The temperature of the sausages are cold, so they'll chill this mix right down. And now what you want to do, you can be polite. You can get a spoon and mix this through. But I think hands always make. I have washed my hands several times today. But just you really want to use your hands and really mix everything together. It's a lot quicker, a lot more efficient using your hands. And you want to make sure that everything is nicely mixed together. Yeah, please, just to, I think number 2. So our cranberry sauce is ticking over quite nicely now. And as I said, already I can see from those frozen cranberries that there's plenty of liquid in there. And I think you probably find that fresh ones might take slightly longer to cook. I reckon 20 minutes is fine. Depends if you want your cranberry sauce really smooth. You can cook it out longer, then you could blitz it in a liquidizer or using a hand blender. I quite like it chunky, so I'll just leave it like that. But it should be finished cooking by the time we've finished this evening. Right, so that's my stuffing all nicely mixed in now. I'm going to hold it up. It's not the most attractive looking thing, but that's all mixed in now. And that's it. Okay, now for the fun part. I'm going to just quickly wash my hands. So with the red board, I'm going to grab the chicken. Okay, so this is a medium-sized chicken. And so this amount of stuffing will be plenty to make a stuffing roll, as well as to stuff the chicken. What we want to do with this chicken is very simple-ish. You basically want to prise open the skin and the flesh together. In the middle of the chicken, there's a membrane running down the center. How's that, Phil? Is that good? Perfect. There's a membrane running down the center. You won't be able to lift that. The skin will tear. But what you want to do, you want to take the end of your wooden spoon, and you want to just very gently push it. It goes quite quickly. Just push it between the skin and the breast, right? And obviously you'll be doing this with your turkey as well. And then on the other side. Okay, and all you want to do is separate the skin from the chicken. As I said, just to repeat, that this part in the center here is a very, very tough membrane. You don't want to loosen that, and very will tear, and you won't have a pretty finished product. Right, that's it. Your next step, this is slightly fiddly, is you want to put your finger now where you've put the wooden spoon, and just loosen the skin behind the leg and the thigh. Do that to both sides. Right. And now what you want to do is you're now going to stuff this turkey. So there's 2 options. In fact, there's 3 options. You can put the stuffing under the skin with a spoon, which I'll grab now, and I'll show you how to do that. Then I'll show you there's even an easier way. So what you want to do is you take a tablespoon of stuffing, lift that skin up, and what you do is you just tuck it under the skin. And then what you do is you just push that down under the skin. Now that actually takes a hang of a lot of stuffing. What I'm going to do, these disposable piping bags are great. You get these from Amazon. I think they're about £5 for 100, but they are so useful. You can put cupcake mix in there, whipped cream in there. They're really good. You can also use one of the Ziploc bags. You can stuff that. But they just make things much more convenient in doing jobs like this. So I'm probably going to take about half my stuffing mix. You push that down. I'm going to just nip the end off. How are my veg looking? You good? Okay, perfect. Are they getting brown? Yeah, a little bit longer. Right, so we've had a little quick squiz at our chicken wings. They're looking delicious. Probably another 5 or 6 minutes. And they'll be done. So now what I'm going to carry on doing is I'm going to pop that under the skin. And I'm just going to work the stuffing into the body of the chicken like that. A bit more on the other side. And as I said, I mean, you're basically putting in more protein here. This chicken, which normally would have done 4 people, will probably do 6 now. The beauty of this is you get that lovely stuffing flavor. The meat also moistens the chicken meat. And as you know, with turkey, it can get dry. It is a really, really lovely idea just to get a real nice extra boost of flavor into your turkey. So you can see that's just going in beautifully, but you want to make sure that you keep some for the legs as well. So I'm going to stuff more of that in. There we go. And then what you do, I mean, it's not really rocket science, but it is a bit of a fiddle, is you're basically pushing that stuffing around the chicken under the leg, like that. Do you have anyone doing this, Jane?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, very impressive.
Hardings, the Knights. Who else is doing it? Are the young ones, are you doing it? No, they're just looking.
So I'm not going to rush this. It does take a bit of time. So as I said, you can probably put half that quantity of stuffing, as in 1 times the recipe, under the skin.
James has put, we're not chickening out.
There we go. Under it goes. Just to mention, so next week we're going to be doing vegetables. I'm kind of going off-piste with traditional Christmas vegetables. So if you wanted to, you could either eat this evening, or you could pop this in the freezer, take it out a day early, and then you could roast this and have it with the veggies next week as well. It's entirely up to you. So, like I say, you want to just push that turkey stuffing over the leg like that, automatically. It's almost like your turkey's put in, I mean, your chicken's put in a couple of pounds over Christmas, getting a bit bigger. Now, one of the things I haven't put as part of the things to have ready, but if you've got it at your home, I'm going to turn it around like this, is a little bit of string. And what that does, it'll just make your chicken that much prettier when you cook it. So, I'll take a length of string. Do you think I should perhaps wait a bit, Jane? Do you think people have... There's no rush for this at all. What is the time?
Right, Hardings
good time as well.
and Knights. Have you got string available? Oh, yes. I think Hardings.
So there's no rush.
Yes,
You're making
they're
good
all right.
time.
Yep, they're all right.
Excellent. So I'm just going to try my cranberry sauce. This has probably still got, I mean, it's nice and chunky now, but I'll probably leave it a bit longer. I'm just going to have a little bit of taste. That's delicious. What that does need, and I didn't add it earlier on, is a pinch of salt. There we go. That's my salt from the turkey going into the cranberry sauce. But it tastes really, really delicious. Okay, so there's your chicken. So what we're going to do with the chicken is just basically put the string under the wings. We're going to tie them around once, just to secure them. Once. And then we are going to... I've got enough string. A bit more. There we go. It's longer. Right, so around the wings. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put them where the leg meets the breast, like that. Cross over the legs, and then just tie them. Being quite mean with the string, but that's basically what you want. Now, cooking times. This chap, I would say 90 minutes, a 180, 190, just to make sure it's properly cooked. You've obviously got extra protein, extra weight on your chicken. So I would say, now with your turkey, you obviously need to go by manufacturer or producer's instruction. I think the way they do it is it's 30 minutes a pound. Is that right? Sorry, I think it's 30 minutes a pound for your turkey, and then once that's finished, another 30 minutes after that. So you need to do that calculation with your turkey there, but you need to bear in mind obviously the weight of your stuffing, and that's it. That's really, really delicious. So with your roast potatoes, because you've got your gravy separately, you're not using the juices from the chicken, your roast potatoes in this fat will be absolutely amazing. Not the most healthiest option, but really, really, really delicious. So that's the chicken, good to go. A little bit of olive oil, salt, pepper in the oven, 90 minutes, 180, and that should be ample for that to be cooked. There we go. So that's the chicken. Now, because I'm still working with meat, I'm not going to wash my hands at this stage. I want to just show you the stuffing roll. The stuffing roll is beautiful for large numbers. What you want to do is take a piece of baking parchment, so quite a large piece. I think I put that down in the ingredients. And then you take the remainder of your stuffing. As I say, you could make stuffing balls. I'd freeze the stuffing down raw, and then defrost the night before, and then you can portion it down. But I wouldn't cook it and then freeze. You can, but I think it'll be better frozen down like this. So the thickness of your stuffing roll is completely up to you. What you want to do is you want to put it in paper like this, and you're going to make it into a Christmas cracker. So when you do squeeze, it will fatten up slightly. But I think that's quite a nice size. Once that's squeezed in, it'll get a little bit bigger, and you can slice that. So for Christmas, which is really, really nice and easy, you can cook this the day before if you wanted to. You could then slice it, put it on a tray, and just pop that in the oven, or even the microwave. This is also delicious, pan fried. You don't obviously have too much on your plate, pardon the pun, on Christmas Day. But just like that, and then really what you want to do is just roll that. And as you're rolling it, just make sure you try and keep that sausage shape. You don't want to put too much pressure on that. I'm going to put that to one side, and then some foil. Foil. Let's find our foil. Is it here? Ah, there we go. Is that it? Yeah. It didn't have a rolling foil. Where's the foil go to? Is it in my bag? I've lost the foil in 2 seconds. It is here somewhere because I already made one. I did here's one we made earlier. Jane's gone to fetch some. I'm not sure where the foil's gone because I said I did make one earlier on. It seems to have disappeared. But Jane's gone to get some. So, any questions? I guess you'd have to wait for Jane to come back. And that's our stuffing roll. Perfect. Thank you, Jane. So, so I'm using 2 pieces of foil. If you've got the wide turkey foil, so much the better. That goes down like that. You then paste the stuffing in the center, and then you roll that up, just like that. And then what you do is you squeeze the ends, and you can be quite, if I say forceful, you want to make that nice and tight. And once again, working on the sort of the concept of 30 minutes per pound, that would probably take, I would say, probably 45 minutes to cook. And obviously, being sausage meat, you want to make sure that's properly cooked. If you're unsure, you can pop a knife into that, pull it out. If the tip of the knife is hot, where it's sort of hot to the touch, then you know it's cooked. But just like that, you can make these en masse. You can make 6 of them, pop them in the freezer. Really, really handy. You can make them thinner. You can make them fatter, or you can make little sausage balls, stuffing balls, and pan fry those. But that's that. So into your freezer or into your oven now if you want to. I mean, that's a delicious meal in itself with a bit of mashed potato, some green beans, and that gravy that we're making as well. Great. So that's that. And that goes. And now we're going to move on to our gravy. So, those are what the turkey wings look like. I mean, the chicken wings. You're going to confuse the turkey and chicken. The chicken wings look like they're nicely browned. The veg is nicely browned. There's a delicious smell coming off that. And that needs now to go into a pot, a large pot.
That looks delicious.
Quite handy. We've got a super large King's Church pot. I'm going to pop that into there. But you really want to just basically Put this in a pot and make sure it's well covered with water. The recipe goes for 2 liters of water. So in that goes. Now I have put on there port, which is optional. That'll obviously make it this enhance the flavor. If you've got some of that to hand, there's always seems to be port hanging around at Christmas time. In that goes. Another tip that you can do as well, if you do have a gas hob, you can put this here we go, turkey, chicken, chicken wings. You can pop this whole tray on the gas hob, and you can put a bit of fire underneath it just to get them crispier, the chicken wings, and get that veg frying nicely as well. But that goes in there like that. And now what you want to do, 2 liters of water, just for some extra flavor. I'm going to add a chicken stock cube. I've got one of these chicken pots. At this stage, I'm not going to be adding any salt because the stock cube has got flavor, and I think it's best for the gravy to be seasoned at the very, very end. What we're going to do once this goes on the stove is we're going to reduce this. And by that means we're going to simmer it, and the liquid's going to get less and the flavor will intensify. At that stage, you can then season it. It will definitely need some salt at some point. So the recipe calls for 4 tablespoons of flour. That's going to be your thickening agent. You can use corn flour as well. I'm going to give that a good mix. My spoon. There we go. And putting the flour in now is going to guarantee you no lumps at all with your turkey gravy. Yeah, perfect. Great. Yeah, that's our chicken. We did another blue pizza moment. That chicken's ready as well. I'm going to show you the stuffing next though. So that is your gravy. 2 liters of water. And really what you want to do this now is you want to cook this, I would say, for a good half an hour. Bring it up to the boil and let that simmer. So as soon as it's boiling, turn it down. You want a little bit of movement in the pan. As I say, it's quite an extravagant gravy, but the flavor from the wings and the bacon is absolutely delicious. And it's just a really nice thing to be able to take out the day before Christmas, warm it up, instant gravy. Question?
If you're using corn flour, do you just stir?
Yeah, what I would do with corn flour, I'm not sure how forgiving corn flour is if you cook it for sort of half an hour. So what I would do is I would simmer the chicken wings without any stock at all, without any corn flour at all. I would then strain it, and I would then thicken it with corn flour. So equal parts of corn flour and water. You make a paste. You bring it up to the boil. You add your corn flour. Give it a quick stir. See how thick it is. And then if you need to add some more corn flour, you add some more corn flour. And that's that. So that's going to go onto the stove. I'm going to bring that to the boil. And yeah, and that, as I said, I'll show you just now. We're going to strain that, and that's going to be a really, really delicious gravy. Okay. Right, so I've got a stuffing roll. Now here's one I made earlier, which I'm going to show you. Before I do that, I'm actually going to just show you the cranberry sauce, and I'm going to get a bowl filled so you can. Yes.
So my chicken wings are not ready yet.
Oh, that's fine. So if they're not ready, put them back in the oven. Maybe turn the oven up a little bit. You really want that color in there, so there's no rush with this. You can't overcook them. What you really want is to get them nicely colored. So yeah, that's not a major issue at all.
Okay, and bay leaves?
Did not mention bay leaves. Who was that? James? Is that James again?
I
forgot the bay leaves. That's very, very important.
Yes.
Bay leaves go in.
He wants to stay top of the class.
Bay leaves are very, very important. That's fine. Perfect. Yeah. So bay leaves, 2 bay leaves in the gravy. I think bay leaves aren't used enough. I think bay leaves are really, really a delicious accompaniment to any sort of stew or soup. Taken out at the very end. So I'm going to pop in the one that's broken there. In they go. So straight away, as that comes to the boil, you're going to see that's starting to thicken already, which is absolutely fine. You turn it right down. What you want to be careful about when cooking with flour in a pot like that is the flour sticking to the base of the pan. So really what you want is just a little bit of movement. And that's going to carry on cooking the vegetables, cooking the chicken, and your flavor is going to intensify as the liquid evaporates. So this is the cranberry sauce. I want to just show you this now. So as I say, I mean, it smells amazing, really, really delicious. It's quite chunky, and I'm going to pop that in this bowl. I just want to so you can have a look and see. And don't forget to take out your cloves. There's 4 cloves and they've counted, and there's 3 cinnamon sticks. Yes.
Do we stir cranberry sauce into the gravy?
You do.
Do we stir the cranberry into the...
Yes, you do have cranberry sauce in the gravy, but at the very, very end. You don't really want to cook that out with the
Okay.
gravy. But good question, yes, the cranberry sauce does go in. It gives it a bit of a zing. It's quite a rich flavor gravy, and your cranberry sauce is quite tart, so that goes in at the very end. You can use bottled cranberry sauce, but you can also use the one we've just made as well.
And the port, does that come later?
So the port, once again, that was optional. The port can go in now into the gravy. You want to get that raw alcohol cooked out.
Lovely.
And in fact, what you can do if you're feeling brave enough is as those chicken wings come out, a little bit of port on top of the turkey wings, and then they're going to, all that alcohol will evaporate. The flavor will stay behind, but it will kind of get an instant reduction in flavor. So you can do that as they come out, or you can pop them in now. But that basically is the cranberry sauce over there. So you've got some cranberries that have popped, some that haven't. Your apples, as I said, basically disintegrated. There are a few pieces in there, and you can put pear in there as well. Another ingredient, not very Christmassy necessarily, but is fresh mint with cranberry sauce. I quite like that as well, but that's just another, depends how traditional you want to go, but fresh mint and cranberry sauce at the very end is also very good. But that's it. I mean, it couldn't be easier, and I think if you had that, I mean, obviously the bottled stuff's also nice at Christmas time, but this is definitely sort of 2 steps up. So cranberry sauce, done. Excellent. So now, this is the old Blue Peter. This is one of the, here's one I made earlier. This is a stuffing roll. And like I say, I love stuffing. And as a meal, this with a bit of mashed potato, some gravy, and some broccoli, some beans, amazing. So it's going to come out. That's it over there. Wipe my hands.
That looks amazing.
Just going to make sure this knife is clean. That's it. So these are the ends here. Jen, unfortunately, you're going to have to taste. Is that all right? You don't mind tasting?
Oh, all right, I'll force myself.
And Phil? Yeah. And there we go. So that's cut. It's it's nice and neat, beautiful. It's got nice sort of chunky, coarse texture to it like that. And as you can cook that the day before and cut it. It'll be easier to cut when it's chilled. And that's it. Really, really lovely. Such a nice flavor. Then the sage and the lemon will come through that beautifully. I'm going to cut another piece while I'm on a roll. Here we go. That's it. So that's your stuffing. It's a really nice recipe. You can obviously add other bits and pieces that you can add some nutmeg. You can add some freshly chopped rosemary if you want, some thyme. Those are some basic flavors you put in there. But the chestnuts are really, really good because that kind of gives that nice Christmassy feel to it. So that is the stuffing. Now,
Ian.
The chicken. Yes.
Got another question. What was the oven temp and how long for the stuffing roll?
190 and 40 minutes for that much stuffing.
Lovely.
And then it's always best, I think, with things like stuffing. I think with any cooking of any food, really, just to let it rest. So maybe give it, 10, 15 minutes. Because it's wrapped up in that paper and that foil, it'll stay really warm for quite a while. So yes, there's no problem with that at all. But it's nice just to let it rest for a bit. So for any food hygiene experts out there, is Ian Lamb on the blog or not? I'm using a blue board. Blue board is traditionally for fish if we're working in a commercial environment, so please forgive me. I don't want to dirty too many things, but the blue board is what came out. So here's the chicken. I'm going to show you something quite quickly. So these obviously we just roasted, but you can see that that flavor, that oil that's coming out of that there is going to be the most delicious roast potato oil you've ever tried. Really, really nice. It's going to be a mixture of the chicken as well as the sausage meat. Take it off there. And also just to mention as well, you probably will know this, but in case you didn't, these bits here from the base of the pan, those are amazing. That popped into your gravy, it's going to be delicious. Anyway, so here's the turkey. Turkey. I'm not going to lose that, am I? Turkey, chicken, turkey. Here's the chicken here. As you can see, it looks somewhat different from a normal chicken. With the stuffing in it. I'm just going to take the string off.
I'm looking forward to seeing this, Ian. This will be good.
So what I did was I forgot to mention, I thought just to be, just not to letting it go to waste, I have put that lemon that we zested into the stuffing. I popped that inside the chicken, so that gives it a nice flavor as well, sort of flavor profile, doesn't put it to waste. So, I mean, cutting the chicken is completely up to you. I'm going to cut it in half just so you can see what the breast looks like. So that's that. I'm going to cut the leg off. Gosh, looks a bit messy. Let me just use the towel. Just keep it messy. So, with the turkey, obviously, you have a much larger breast that you can carve. I'm just gonna wipe this board down because I'm looking quite messy. I'm a messy chef anyway, but I'm gonna try and be tidy. There we go, Phil. So I'm not sure how much you can zoom into that. But your base, there your chicken is there. You've got that thin layer of stuffing underneath it. And really, really super juicy. So you can just see the moisture in that chicken. It's cooked to perfection. But the sausage meat will make it a lot more forgiving in terms of cooking your turkey. It'll be really, really delicious. So that's that. And that is going to taste amazing. I'm very tempted to have a piece myself, actually, but I'm not going to. I'm going to hold back. I do believe we've come to the end of everything. Is that right? Oh, actually, what I'm going to do, the turkey gravy probably needs another 20 minutes. I want to just strain that now, just to show you what sort of effect we're looking for. Do you have a colander? Just want to taste this. Perfect. That's great, thank you. So what you want to do, just for ease, is to get a large colander. You can do this, you don't have to do it in a massive bowl like this. I'm just going to do it in one hit. It definitely needs a little bit of salt. Like I said, we're taking this out early. But this with, after about 15 more minutes, will be amazing. I'm going to add that cranberry sauce to now 2 tablespoons. And it goes in, as I said, that's going to give it a bit of that tart flavor. The gravy will be quite rich because it's just pure delicious ingredients in there. And then it's going to be quite messy. I'm just going to pop it in like that. There we go. And then that probably will yield you 1.5 liters of gravy, which is, I suppose, enough for a family of how many? Jen, do you like gravy? How many people we could have feed with that?
I don't actually like gravy, but
yes,
Evie and Samuel do. Yes.
Okay, so let's see how many. So they're going to just transfer that to there. You want to get as much of that juice from those wings as you can. I'm just speeding it up. Because I don't want to spend all day doing that. But then, so with the gravy, you can then strain this again into a fine strainer. Depends if you want bits. I think bits are quite nice. I'm just going to show you. There we go. And that's going to be delicious. And like I said, this concept, if you had to add a little bit of double cream to that, and you put some freshly cooked chicken in there with some vegetables, a puff pastry lid, it'll make an amazing chicken pie sauce. So that's fantastic. And as I said, just into the freezer once it's chilled down. Take it out the night before, reheat it. That gravy will literally elevate your turkey dinner to the next level. Really, really delicious. And I think that is everything. So if there's any questions, please let me know. Next week we're doing vegetables. We're going to go completely off piece. As I said, we're doing 3 veggies, 3 different kinds of vegetables, vegetable dishes that probably be quite good for vegetarians as well. And they would work beautifully with this chicken and the stuffing. So if no one's got any more questions, thank you very much. And we look forward to seeing you next Sunday.